Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Let me explain what I'm doing here. I'm starting my next two books. Book number one is The Case of the Sexual Cosmos. Everything you know about nature is wrong. Book number two is The Grand Unified Theory of Everything in the Universe, including the human soul. Well, actually, it's The Grand Unified Theory of Everything in the Universe, including sex, violence, and the human soul. So I'm going to start with a simple move. I will put together book number one, The Case of the Sexual Cosmos, Everything You Know About Nature is Wrong, by writing it as a series of scripts for my YouTube series, a series of scripts to share with you. So hold on to your seats. Here we go, into the realm of scientific heresy and scientific astonishment. The Case of the Sexual Cosmos. Everything you know about nature is wrong. Book number one. It's the most complicated thing in the cosmos and the most expensive. It draws us with visions of paradise, but drags us through the agonies of hell. And it has inflicted a biological equivalent of these aches and ecstasies on plants and animals for close to 1 billion years. It's sex. And sex is the ultimate disproof of two concepts that have thrown our views of nature violently off base: the principle of least action and the second law of thermodynamics. Sex is the ultimate disproof of our current view of the planet and our relationship to it. And sex is a crucial cue to the audacity nature demands of us in the future. In this series, I'll do my best to show you that three common scientific concepts are wrong. 1, the law of entropy. 2, the law of least effort. And 3, the idea that nature abhors 4 deadly sins invented by humankind. Those 4 deadly sins are materialism, consumerism, waste, and vain display. I will attempt to show you how nature has reveled in these sins for billions of years. Why? Because they are tools with which nature creates. Now, why is a new view of nature and what we call the planet necessary? Because we are told that us human beings are about to crash and burn our planet. And in many ways that may be true. But it comes from a false understanding. An understanding that can be toxic to our civilization and toxic to our very happiness. Behind this toxic view is one of the most incorrect ideas about nature ever to gain control over your mind and mine, a concept that has a headlock on modern science and on those of us who believe in rationality. It began in 1744 with Pierre-Louis de Maupertuis's principle of least action, an idea he conceived to prove that the universe was designed by God. An idea that encouraged us to believe that we live in a chaste and constrained cosmos. The fact is, we live in just the opposite. We live in a cosmos that counts on us to reinvent her. A cosmos that counts on us to help her penetrate new realms of possibility. New realms of impossibility. De Maupertuis's mistaken notion was augmented by Lord Kelvin in 1852 when he came up with the idea that the universe will die in the random whizzle of what was later called heat death. Heat death said that someday the universe will come apart like a sugar cube in a cup of hot coffee. Rudolf Clausius took this dismal notion a step further in his 1865 second law of thermodynamics, the idea of entropy. The notion that the cosmos is constantly falling apart. And in 1884, Ludwig Boltzmann came up with mathematical justification for the catastrophic claims of entropy. But entropy is an idea Clausius and Boltzmann got from a metaphor, imagining the universe as a steam engine. Could something be wrong with using the metaphor of a 200-year-old technology, a steam engine, to understand this particular cosmos? Meanwhile, we are taught to loathe those 4 sins: consumerism, materialism, waste, and vain display. We are told that materialism, consumerism, waste, and flamboyant display are forms of manipulation created by agriculturalists, patriarchalists, industrialists, and capitalists. We are told these sins are used to manipulate us. But none of that is true. Materialism, consumerism, waste, and ostentatious display are tricks of nature. They are techniques that nature has used for over 13 billion years. Understanding these sins is vital to understanding what we've achieved and to seeing our future possibilities. Here's a bit of the real story. The notion that we have raped Mother Nature is false. So is the idea that we have reached the limits of our resources and that we are banging our heads against the prison bars known as the limits of growth. Nature is the opposite of what we imagine her to be. Nature does not demand only that we conserve her past. Nature demands that we expand her future. Nature demands that we expand the bounds of her possibilities. Getting nature wrong has consequences, big ones. The errors in our vision of nature are blinding us. They are clouding our understanding and playing havoc with our policies. They are crippling us with a claustrophobic picture of our world. Far worse, the errors in our vision of nature are killing our dreams and poisoning our possibilities. They are convincing little girls like the 12-year-old Greta Thunberg that we live in the age of nightmare and apocalypse. In fact, the opposite is true. We live on the verge of the greatest triumphs life on our planet has ever seen. Why the disconnect? The real cosmos is surprising and far, far different than you and I have been led to believe. This is not a pinch penny, miserly universe, conserving energy and teetering on the brink of disaster. It is a flamboyant, profligate, creative cosmos, marching resolutely toward higher degrees of intimacy. Nature is not violated by technology. Technology is her invention. And nature does not want to sleep forever in some sort of perfect state. Nature abhors an equilibrium. Nature is the mother of high shock innovation, from the creation of stars and stones to DNA. Nature rebels against her own rules, shatters her own status quo, and goes for breakthroughs, big ones, which means that what we mistakenly call rape is one of nature's favorite techniques. It is not a bug, it is a feature. Change scientific tools and a very different nature reveals herself. Lay out the 13.8 billion year history of the cosmos on a timeline, insert the data from every science, theoretical physics, cosmology, chemistry, geology, paleontology, evolutionary biology, and even anthropology, political science, and economics. Add in the evidence of human history and current events, right down to Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. The result is a timeline that tells a story, the tale of the evolution of the universe, from the Big Bang to the Capitol Hill insurrection of January 6, 2021. The science in that chronology reveals a very different picture than the one being preached to you and me. Nature's reality is bracing, challenging, brutal, appalling, and exhilarating, and we must wake up to nature's reality. Why? Again, because distorted views of nature are poisoning our dreams and killing our possibilities. And a truer view of nature can set us free. Nature is the ultimate materialist, consumerist, and generator of waste. Nature is innovative, restless, rebellious, outrageous, and extravagant. In fact, nature uses trash and litter to innovate. She uses garbage to carve out startling new possibilities. One more thing, a big one. Nature loves those who oppose her most. Yes, nature loves those who oppose her most. Nature adores those who break her laws. And if you learn nature's secrets, you can be one of those lawbreakers, a lawbreaker who gives nature vast new realms in which to create. That is the vision of nature at the heart of the case of the sexual cosmos. And it is as anti-conventional as an ice sculpture of God in hell. Anti-conventional, but true. If you like new ways of thinking, if you like insights that break the mold, this just may be the YouTube series for you. This is Howard Loom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now, for the infamous sleazy, slimy, seditious, oh God, I wish I had more S words, little off button.